From Daily Trust News Center, this is News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Plateau State Governor says he is qualified to be APC presidential running mate, not on basis of his faith. House of Representatives to override President Buhari on statutory delegates in the Electoral Act. Relatives of abducted passengers of Abuja-Kaduna train lament failing health of remaining captives. On the foreign scene, French troops capture Islamic group leader in Mali. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Ayinde Shuaga. Plateau State Governor and Chairman Northern Governors Forum, Simon Lalong, has added his voice to the ongoing debate on same religion ticket in the 2023 presidential race, saying one's faith is not qualification to be running mate. Lalong, in an exclusive interview with Trust TV, said he is in the race to be an APC presidential running mate, not account of his faith, but because he is qualified.
I am not even, if I'm aspiring to be the vice president, I've told you, I am not aspiring because it is my faith. I'm aspiring because I am qualified. First, that's it. Because when you are measuring that kind of thing, first you look at people who are qualified to go in. When we pick them, we pick 5 to, we didn't talk about religion, yes, because we said they should move in. But then in politics, there's always a tradition. And when people start to believe in that kind of tradition, the moment you deny them that tradition, it means that you are already excluding them from politics. I take that from where I came from, Plateau. I realized that some of this crisis, everything that was happening was because of exclusion. People believed that they were excluded. No matter in politics, you talk about the majority having their say, having their way, while the minority must give them opportunity to have a say. Once you have that, you have completely peace in your place. What are we talking about today? We are talking about peaceful federation. We are talking about a progressive federation in crisis. Already we are in crisis. How to manage the crisis. It's not only winning the election, you are also going to win the election and thinking of governing the nation.
Gives reasons why northern governors decided power should shift to the southern part of the country.
I must say the epic and I think the final position was taken during this convention without any fear of favor, because that has been our position, that we look at the objectives, we look at it objectively, that this country belongs to all of us.
Watch out for full interview on the program 30 Minutes, which airs Monday on Trust TV. Chief Whip of the Senate, Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, has proposed a Muslim ticket as a critical factor for the All Progressives Congress, APC, to win the presidential election in 2023. Ticket, considering the current situation it has found itself. Senator Kalu made the remark on Wednesday in an interview with journalists at the National Assembly complex in Abuja. The chief whip, who argued that it was impossible for a southern minority Muslim and a northern minority Christian to win a presidential election in Nigeria, said the APC should be concerned about winning than the religious affiliation of its vice presidential candidate.
Ahmed Bola Tinubu's situation. The wife is a senior pastor in a Pentecostal church. I will go Muslim ticket. The most important thing is for the party to win. It's not, we should stop all this rubbish about whether you put a Christian there. After all, if we win, already the wife is a pastor. They have been living for over 40, 50 something years together. I've known them this far. So why do you want to blame about, she's already like a deputy president. If I'm to say, I'm a Catholic. I'm saying my opinion. This is Orji Kalu's opinion. You cannot deny me my opinion. But you can also play Christian ticket, depending on the scenario. Because if we don't play Muslim, we're in trouble. We will not win it will be most difficult to win the election. Because the only thing left for Ahmed Tinubu today is to play Muslim.
Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has been shortlisted as running mate to the flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. Wike was elected ahead of two contenders from a mock poll conducted by an advisory council constituted by the leadership of the PDP. Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, and Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel have been recommended by another committee led by General Aliyu Gusau. Based on his performance at the party's presidential primaries, party leaders expressed confidence in the capacity of the Rivers State Governor and will recommend him to the presidential candidate, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. The Advisory Council will soon submit its report to the National Working Committee, NWC, which will in turn present the recommendations to the presidential candidate. Members of the House of Representatives have called for a veto to overrule President Muhammadu Buhari on Section 84(8), which he has refused to assent to by invoking Section 58. The federal lawmaker has made this call at plenary on Wednesday after many lawmakers lost their seats due to the president not assenting to the electoral amendment by both chambers of the National Assembly. The report.
To other parties because of an inherent inclement condition. Anything that occasions it, anything that warrants it, if it is our electoral act, if it is our politics, if it is the environment where we operate, we need to retool. And like you said, we got to do a better work and we have to fight on. For me, it is just a battle that is lost. The war is on, and that we should go ahead to make sure that that law is retooled, made clear, and if it requires this parliament to take action to override what has not been signed, we should be willing to do so.
We cannot continue to act as if we are under the executive arm of government. This constitution gave us the powers, just like it gave to them. We must wake up as a parliament where we pass our laws and we are sure that we have done the right thing. We should start overriding Mr. President, because this is just the beginning. Today, NDDC Act is in force because the parliament, which we are part of, did it. Why are we afraid? Mr. President has not committed any offense. What he has done is the rule of law and the constitution. And I believe by the time we do our own, by overriding his veto, we will not have committed any offense. We will be working according to the constitution and the rule of law.
But for us to override, I believe we require 2/3 majority. And it cannot be by voice vote, neither can it be by way of signatures, unless, of course, you have enough 2/3 by signature. So what I would suggest is that you bring the application, a formal motion or notice, so perhaps tomorrow or whenever you are able to do that, and then we'll determine whether or not this House is ready to override or not. I think that's the way to go. That's the proper procedure. And I appreciate your comments. And I believe you're talking about the provision on statutory delegates, which Honorable Toby alluded to earlier. I believe that's the provision you're talking about. So we'll go ahead. You can file your motion, and hopefully we'll be able to list it tomorrow or whenever the calendar permits.
The federal government says its initial submission that the Owo church attack had the imprint of ISWAP was based on intelligence reports. It is, however, refusing to get into a debate on the correctness of that piece of information. Information Minister Lai Mohammed made the federal government side clear on Wednesday while briefing newsmen at State House, Abuja, after a meeting of the Federal Executive Council. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Ever since the information minister's projection that the Owo Catholic Church attack was probably carried out by the Islamic State West Africa province ISWAP, the stand has come under criticism. The governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, described the conclusion as being too hasty. And when asked his opinion on Wednesday, the information minister refused to get involved in a debate.
And whether it's not, I don't think that is the issue really. The issue is that it ought not to have happened, and the security is doing its best to ensure there will be no repeat of it. The federal government has access to a lot of information and intelligence reports, and I want to say that saying it was ISWAP must have been based on their intelligence reports.
The information minister was also not forthcoming when asked about the federal government losing its $1.7 billion claim against JP Morgan Chase Bank over the transfer of proceeds from the sale of OPL 245 in the controversial Malabu oil deal. Judge.
Strangely enough, the judge said we were not able to establish that we lost $1.7 billion. But also read further that the lawyers say they have studied the judgment and they would take the appropriate step, whether to appeal or not.
And speaking on another projection he made on education, the information minister acknowledged that the underlying issues in the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities were complicated.
I wish that the ASU issue is as simple as many of us think it is. I don't think it's that simple, but I want to assure you that a lot is going on behind the scenes. And I think probably the Minister of Education will be in a better position to give you the details.
The Federal Executive Council, however, went ahead in its usual tradition on Wednesday to approve contracts in the Ministries of Works and Housing and Aviation. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
The Nigerian Senate has asked security agencies in the country to improve on their intelligence gathering in order to avert any attack on citizens. The Senate on Wednesday's plenary also condemned the recent attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State, where scores of worshippers were killed. The report.
This call by the Senate is sequel to the consideration of a motion tagged Killing of Worshippers in Owo, Ondo State, sponsored by Senator Ajayi Boroface. Boroface, in his presentation, noted with deep concern the attack on worshippers on Sunday, 5th June 2022, at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State. 40 worshippers were killed during the attack, while about 80 are left with varying degrees of vital injuries. The lawmaker expressed the fear that such attack could lead to inter-religious conflict and ethnic war in the country.
With committal of the Environmental Health Officer Registration ETC Act 2002, Amendment B 2022 to the Committee of the Whole. The Senate recalls that the Environmental Health Officers Registration Act 2002, Amendment Bill 2022, was passed by the National Assembly and was transmitted to the President for assent. Observes that some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative action by both chambers of the National Assembly emerged after a critical analysis of the bill by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief. Aware that a technical committee of the Senate and House Representatives and Directorate of Legal Services met and worked on the bill, relying on Order 1B and Order 52C of Senate Standing Order 2022 as amended. Accordingly, rescind the decision on the bill as passed and recommit same to the Committee of the Whole for consideration and passage.
The Senate has then asked the relevant agencies to intensify efforts to investigate the matter with the aim of bringing perpetrators to book. They are also to deploy drones and helicopters to monitor forests and ungoverned areas in Nigeria to identify illegal camps of armed bandits across the country.
At least 2 people have been killed and 3 others injured in an attack in a village in Gusau local government area of Zamfara State. The early morning attack threw the village into confusion as people scampered for safety. A resident of the village, Malam Biliamino Hamisu, said it was a fierce battle between the military and the gunmen who attempted to infiltrate a town through a nearby village. In a telephone interview with Trust TV, Biliamino narrates the encounter with the attackers and called on the government to address the incessant attacks on innocent and unarmed civilians.
The incident happened in the morning when the villagers were preparing for work. I was ready for work when I started hearing sound of gunfire from outside the village. Whenever such happens, our vigilante usually follow up to check what it is. When they did, they saw some armed men trying to infiltrate the village. The villagers engaged them in a gun battle until they left our village. They later regrouped and launched another attack where they shot 2 people who were working on their farms. A member of the vigilante was also shot in the exchange of fire, but soldiers later came to rescue the vigilantes and the attackers later fled. In the ensuing crisis, 5 people were shot, 2 were killed, the other 3 are now receiving treatment in the hospital. We are traumatized. People can no longer go about their normal businesses. The security situation is scary. Women and children are running away from their homes. School and other businesses are all shut down due to the attack. This is not the first time such attack is happening. We face this kind of attack almost on a weekly basis. There are no security operatives in my village to ascertain There are no security operatives in my village to contain the incessant attacks on innocent and unarmed civilians. So many villagers have left the town because of such attack. Some of us are still here because we have nowhere to go.
In the meantime, the police in Zamfara State has confirmed that bandits attacked Manya village in Safe local government area of the state. The police public relations officer, Superintendent Mohammed Shehu, while confirming the incident, said no life was lost. Shehu added that 2 persons who sustained gunshot injuries were rushed to the hospital for medical attention. He told Trust TV News that the command deployed its tactical operatives to restore order in the troubled area. Relatives of Abuja Kaduna train attack victims say the health of some of the remaining 50 persons who are still in captivity is in critical condition that needs urgent attention. While addressing the media in Kaduna, the relatives expressed appreciation to the government for ensuring the release of their relatives, but called for the quick release of the remaining 50 in the forest. The report.
The chairman of the victims' relatives, Jimoh Fatai, while addressing journalists in Kaduna, noted that if not addressed within the shortest possible time, some of the victims may lose their lives because of deterioration in their health.
Some of them are still not in good condition of health, and they need to come out very quickly because the situation is not good. Even those that are not ill, they are not in good mental status. So everybody that is there need to come out very quickly. 77 days is a very long time. Just an additional 1 day is the harrowing day. We are hoping and praying that in the shortest time, all of them will be released and reunited with their family.
They've tried, but they should put more effort so that the remainings will be released.
Due to trauma and torture, he says, some of the 11 released victims are undergoing medical checkup.
They are still receiving treatment in the hospital. They have gone through a lot of trauma for 77 days, mental trauma, physical trauma, psychological torture.
For Rekia Lawal, the release of the 11 persons by their abductors comes with mixed feelings.
It's just a mixed reaction. As I saw her, I was smiling and at the same time crying because I know my brother is at the back. So with her also, she was crying because she told us when they told her to go, she just began to cry because she was thinking of leaving him behind.
It is 79 days since the attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train by terrorists, where about 9 people were killed and over 60 people abducted. So far, 13 people have been released, with about 50 still in captivity.
You're watching NewsHour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly after the break, how displaced person finds love despite insecurity. Stay with us.
Residents of the Federal Capital Territory are hereby alerted to the activities of scavengers, also known as Babambula, which security agencies have identified as a high-level security threat to not only the residents but also to our infrastructure as they perpetrate petty stealing and acts of vandalism on public utilities. More so, they are drug peddlers, serve as spies to terrorist elements, and are ready-made tools for the public disturbances during which they attack people with dangerous weapons. The Federal Capital Territory Administration therefore reiterates that the ban on scavengers aka Babambula operating within the Federal Capital City is still in force. These miscreants are advised to stay off the streets of the Federal Capital City for their own good, as defaulters will be apprehended and prosecuted, including parents of underage children involved in these practices. Relevant agencies are carrying out enforcement of this ban as stipulated. Be law-abiding always. Let's together build the FCT of our dreams. Management announcer.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, This is NewsHour on Trust TV. A look at our top stories. Plateau State Governor says he is qualified to be APC presidential running mate, not on basis of his faith. And House of Representatives to override President Buhari on statutory delegates in the Electoral Act. Moving to other news, no fewer than 40 shops were gutted on Wednesday morning by fire at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi. The burned shops, said to be on Block D, were computer business centers, barbing salons, and provision stores. Multiple sources in the university said no fire service was available to help save the situation, as the school's fire service truck was not in good shape. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has confirmed 36 cases of monkeypox in 15 states in the country. The NCDC disclosed this in its latest monkeypox situation report. According to the NCDC, monkeypox is a rare viral zoonotic infectious disease transmitted from animals to humans that occur sporadically, primarily in remote villages of Central and West Africa near tropical rainforests. The affected states are Lagos, Adamawa, Delta, Rivers, Cross River, FCT, Kano. Other states include Bayelsa, Edo, Imo, Plateau, Nasarawa, Niger, Oyo, and Ondo states. The Gombe State government has rolled out plans to vaccinate about 3.1 million people against various killer diseases under the Integrated Mass Vaccination Campaign. The project, under Non-Polio Supplementary Immunization Activities, NPSIA, is in collaboration with the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. The Gombe State Commissioner of Health, Dr. Habu Dairu, said the state has trained 14,000 personnel to conduct the exercise across the 11 local government areas of the state. The immunization commences on the 17th June 2022 to 8th July 2022. Ibrahim Ismail reports that as at April 2022, Gombe State recorded 114 cases of measles, 12 cases of meningitis, and 3,306 cases of COVID-19.
An integrated mass vaccination campaign will be conducted in Gombe State, which will target the following vaccines and children. Measles vaccine will be given to children 9 months to 59 months. Meningitis Menafric vaccine will be given to children age 10 and 11. Yellow fever vaccination will be given to children and adults between 9 months and 44 years. BOPV oral polio vaccine will be given to children 0 to 59 months. Vitamin A capsules will be given in 2 categories, the blue and the red one. The blue one is for children 6 to 11 months, and the red one is for children 12 to 59 months. COVID-19 vaccine will also be given to people 18 years and above.
The Center for Information Technology and Development, CITAD, has trained personnel of primary healthcare development agencies on COVID-19 vaccine data management. The training, which held in Gombe State, had in attendance participants drawn from 9 states in northern Nigeria. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
18 data managers at primary healthcare development agencies from the Northeast, North Central and Northwest participated in the 2-day training. Mr. Hamza Ibrahim, CITAD's coordinator for public education on the COVID-19 vaccine project, said the training was to address discrepancies in data management.
So it will benefit the public because when a credible data, a good data is generated, people can access, and then the data can be used by stakeholders at different levels to ensure that policies and then decisions of the government, particularly within the health sector, will be informed by that data.
Mr. Mustafa Alinkilo, a facilitator, said the training will help in the management of data, not just for COVID-19, but from other health areas.
And now NPSCD has even introduced integration of COVID-19 vaccination with other immunization services. So not only COVID-19, we have other childhood killer diseases like measles, like meningitis, like pneumonia. All of these ones, yellow fever, measles, all of these ones, they are childhood killer diseases. And Nigeria has done really well in cutting down the outbreaks caused by this disease.
Participants are confident that the training will help bridge the information gap and lead to better management of data.
So it's very, very important. Without data, the data is the driver of any activity in the state. So it's data that will direct you to go to where there is gap. So my position is very important in my...
It is expected that the participant will put the knowledge acquired into practice to improve service delivery in the health sector. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Rising insecurity in northwest Nigeria has displaced thousands of families from their villages. In states like Katsina, uncompleted buildings have been turned to makeshift camps for victims that are trying to find refuge in safer communities. Jamil Mabai reports on a struggling mother whose daughter found love while in a makeshift IDP camp where they thought hope was completely gone.
Insecurity situation in northwest Nigeria is fueling the fastest growing displacement crisis in the country. According to United Nations Refugee Agency, over 1,900 people were displaced in just a span of 6 days, a situation that is causing apprehension among stakeholders. What is more worrisome is that these people do not have anywhere to go but to seek shelter in uncompleted buildings in safer communities and depend on the benevolence of the society to survive. Despite these hardships, young girls who thought there is no hope for them to have a normal life in such places are opening their hearts for love, the greatest of all gifts. Halima, who 2 years ago miraculously escaped from Kukar Babangida along Jibia local government axis with her 7 children after incessant attacks by bandits.
I
can never forget what happened to us that day. Bandits chased us away from our homes. The first time they attempted to enter our village, they couldn't succeed. The second time, my neighbor knocked at my door and informed us that bandits have entered. I took one of my daughters, who is late now, to a nearby bush. I came back and took the second one, where we hid. Later, they informed us that they have kidnapped their target victim.
It's hardly getting by as she prepared the first and the only meal for her children for that day. Her heart heavy with thoughts of where will the next meal come from.
We cook once a day. We eat it in the morning, afternoon, and night until God provides us with one.
Back in the village, Halima owned a small business. After the attack, she lost everything. Their life disrupted and wondered if her children will ever live a normal life. But that situation changed as love found one of her daughters in the place they least expected.
She went for a wedding after the event has finished. The groom's friends brought her back. That was when he met Khadija and professed his love due to her sense of maturity and kindness.
As every mother would for her daughter. But the burden that comes with marrying out a daughter is Halima's greatest nightmare.
The next day he came to the house, which I told him her father was not around. I got to bed thinking about my daughter's marriage. It's quite challenging considering my predicament. The date have been fixed. The thought of what to give her has been troubling me. We don't have anything.
is still depending on the society to assist her, as she is caught between the task of putting food on the table and the huge burden of marrying out her daughter. Jamilu Mabai, Trust TV News, Katsina.
The Borno State Police has arrested 87 suspects for alleged rape, kidnapping, terrorism, and vandalism. Among the suspects, 5 IDPs were arrested for terrorism activities. The command also recovered exhibits of the recent Boko Haram attack along Damaturu-Maiduguri Road. The report.
The Borno State Police at a press briefing revealed that it has arrested 87 suspects and is currently investigating 45 cases with 10 already charged to court. The crimes committed range from rape, kidnap, criminal conspiracy, culpable homicide, public disturbances, among others.
Acting on communication intercept on some of the GSM number provided by the Tactical Intelligence Unit of Force Headquarters Abuja, arrested the above-mentioned suspects in connection with terrorist activities. We have arrested some underage who, you'll be surprised, they are becoming more scientific. They will apply chemical on our government slab, these culverts. They will apply chemical on it. Overnight, the following day they will come. By the time they come, the slab is weak.
Of the 87 suspects paraded before newsmen, 7 were arrested for rape, 9 for culpable homicide, while public disturbances and possession of dangerous weapons has 19 suspects, all belonging to a group called Sarasuya Boys. For destruction and vandalization of government property, 9 suspects were arrested, including minors, as well as 12 cases of theft. The man we kidnapped, we handed him over to the other group. After 3 days, they came back and then they said they got 3 million naira. And then they gave us 1 million naira to share with my friend. She has been coming to my place often after closing from school. So we used to have some chats once in a while. She has been coming not this year, since last year. So it all happened in my place, at my working place. I'm a security man.
They took a different medical report and presented this as that I gave the medical report, and I wasn't the one who wrote that report. But they keep saying I'm the one who wrote the report, and I'm not the one.
Okay. Do you went to a medical school?
Yes.
Where?
Ilorin.
Where?
Ilorin.
Ilorin.
Yes.
The command said it has already arraigned 67 suspects, while 35 cases are under investigations. It promised to conclude all criminal cases as it trails other suspects on the loose.
Troops of the 26th Task Force Brigade on Tuesday found one Mary Ngoshe, who according to the Nigerian Army is believed to be one of the kidnapped girls from Government Girls Secondary School, Chibok, in 2014. This is contained in a tweet posted to the Nigerian Army's verified Twitter page on Wednesday morning. Ngoshe, who was found with a child believed to be hers, was intercepted by the troops while on patrol around Ngoshe in Borno State. Aisha Alkali Wakil, popularly known as Mama Boko Haram, has been jailed 5 years without the option of fine by a Borno State High Court in Maiduguri for fraud. Justice Aisha Kumalia of the Borno State High Court jailed her alongside Tahiru Saidu Daura and Prince Lawal Shoyode following their prosecution by the Maiduguri Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The judgment was the climax of a trial that commenced on Monday, September 14, 2020, when the defendants were arraigned on a 2-count charge of conspiracy and obtaining money by false pretense to the tune of 71,400,000. They were said to have approached Saleh Ahmed, said of Shuad General Enterprises Limited, to deliver to them 3,000 bags of beans worth 71,400,000 under the false pretense of executing a supply contract. Justice Komalia found that they committed an offense contrary to and punishable under sections 11B of the 13 of the Advanced Free Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act 2006. The defendants pleaded not guilty to the charge. The abducted Bishop of Jebba Anglican Diocese, Aderogba Adeyinka, his wife and driver have been freed by their captors. Abductors, Bishop Aderogba, his wife and driver were kidnapped on Sunday at about 9 p.m. The vehicle they were traveling in broke down at an isolated spot on the new Oyo-Ogbomosho Expressway on their way from Yewa, Ogun State to Jebba, Kwara State. The police public relations officer in the state, DSP Adewale Oshifeso, in a statement in Ibadan on Tuesday said the massive deployment of police personnel and domination of the entire area by tactical teams put pressure on the abductors to free the victims. Oshifeso said the victims were rescued unhurt by police personnel around 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday. The police spokesman said the victims have been reunited with their family while investigation was still ongoing to apprehend the perpetrators and bring them to justice. The federal government says poor financial support has been a major obstacle for effective implementation of the Great Green Wall GGW project across the continent. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Hassan Musa said this at a technical committee of experts meeting of the 8th ordinary session of Council of Ministers of the GGW member countries on Tuesday in Abuja. Musa was represented by Sagir El Mohammed, press director of the ministry. He said the recognition of the paucity of financial resources for implementation of the GGW led to the several billions of dollars pledged by a coalition of technical and financial partners, TFPs. According to him, financial provision and mobilization have been a major obstacle to the effective and impactful implementation process of the activities of the laudable GGW initiative. You're watching Trust News Hour. Coming up shortly after the break. Welcome back to Trust News Hour. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Brault, says the sub-region is winning in the fight against maritime insecurity, with Nigeria being removed from the piracy list hotspot. Brault made this known while delivering reports of the ECOWAS Commission before the ECOWAS Parliament during the ongoing 2022 First Ordinary Session of the Parliament in Abuja. Brault said the win against maritime insecurity was notable, with the decreased rate of attack in the Gulf of Guinea following actions by member countries. Nigerian cities have again been left for days without electric power as the national grid collapses for the 6th consecutive time this year. The consistency of these collapses has become worrisome, not to mention unbearable, as it comes with both discomfort and financial losses. Chamun Dabeng speaking to a few shop owners in Utako Market to gauge the extent of the electric power crisis in Nigeria.
First and foremost, I'm into frozen foods, and the supply, power supply here is consistent. Since we are into frozen food, we need consistent light. 2-4 we have light. If I thought they should take out or take light, it should be other 30 or 12 hours they bring it back.
Electricity in Mr. Peter's side of the market seems to be somewhat stable. However, the case is quite different for the next shop owner, showing a clear disparity in the access to electricity.
The electric supply in this area is very poor compared with other areas. Like us last week, I think it's only out of 7 days. Even per days, some days we have light 3 hours till the following day. We don't actually know the main problem. Like as of last week, about 3 days we are not having light. We had something drop. We don't know what dropped. Whether the power dropped, I don't know. Say from 3,000 to 9 megawatts. So throughout that period, there was no lights.
Despite paying high tariffs for electricity, Nigerians still deal with crippling electricity instability. Kunle Olubio, president of the Nigeria Consumer Protection Network and a former member of the Presidential Ad Hoc Committee on Review of Electricity in Nigeria, gives his perspective on the issue.
Increase in tariff is not a silver-based solution. There are a lot of challenges. For example, before August 2020, we were doing 24 naira per kilowatt hour. Now they came with what they said is contractual, service-based tariff, service-reflective tariff. Most of the people in the metropolitan area were on band A. And they promised us that it's going to be contractual. We're going to have a minimum of 24 hours of supply. Band A. Band B, they gave like 18 hours, and band C. And what have you? That led to increase in tariff.
Consistent power supply plays a major role in the economic stability of every nation as it drives up production quotas. There is a pressing need for the federal government to act quickly on the country's epileptic power supply. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Let's now join Chamun Dabeng for more business news.
Nigeria's Consumer Price Index CPI has increased to 17.71% in the month of May, a report by the National Bureau of Statistics has shown. According to the NBS, the new figure was influenced by increase in the prices of gas, liquid fuel, bread and cereals. The report added that the increase was also recorded in prices of potatoes, yam and other tubers, wine, fish, meat, oils and road transport fare. It stated that the inflation figure was 0.22% lower compared to the rate recorded in May 2021, which is 17.93%, while on a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate increased to 1.78% in May, 0.02% higher than recorded in April. Acting Accountant General of the Federation, AGF, Anamekwe Nwabuku, says Nigeria is borrowing money to pay salaries. Nwabuku said this on Tuesday at a retreat organized by the Office of the AGF for members of the Technical Subcommittee on Cash Management, TSCM, in Abuja. Nwabuku said there is an increase in government expenditure due to rising security challenges and the social needs of the citizenry. The acting AGF called for deliberate efforts to revert the trend through fiscal discipline, economic diversification, export sector promotion, and plunging revenue leakages, among others, to ensure revenue inflow. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed says petrol subsidy is hurting the nation and limiting the federal government's ability to service debt. The World Bank, in its Nigeria's Development Update NDU launched on Tuesday, projected the fuel subsidy would gulp 5 trillion naira in 2022, more than Nigeria's 4 trillion naira subsidy budget. This year alone, NNPC has spent 947.53 billion naira on petrol subsidy payments. Speaking at the hybrid launch of the World Bank's report, the finance minister urged Nigerians to understand that petrol subsidy is causing a massive fiscal burden, thus impeding the country's economic growth. She said important investments in the oil and gas sector are being delayed because of the heavy fiscal burden of fuel subsidies. That's all for Business News. I am Chamun Dabing.
And on the foreign scene, French military troops in Mali on Wednesday said they have captured a senior member of the Sahel affiliate of the Islamic State group. Spokesman for the Chief of Staff said an operation of the Barkhane force allowed the capture of Oumeya Oud al-Bakaye. Al-Bakaye will be held by French forces for questioning for several days and then handed over to the Malian authorities. His capture comes as France prepares to complete its withdrawal from Mali after almost a decade battling a jihadist insurgency in the country. France is to complete its withdrawal from Mali within the next few months when its main military base at Gao will be returned to Malian forces. Relations between Mali and France plummeted after the military seized power in Bamako in August 2020. Moscow has urged Ukrainian fighters to surrender in Severodonetsk, saying they should stop what they described as senseless resistance and lay down arms. Russia says its forces have destroyed an ammunition warehouse for weapons donated to Kyiv by NATO member states in Ukraine's Western Lviv region. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is calling on Kyiv's Western allies to supply his country with more modern anti-missile systems. NATO defense ministers said to meet in Brussels to discuss providing Ukraine with further arms as it confronts Russia's Donbas offensive. In sports, let's join Adeniyi Ajisafe for more sports news.
Minister of Youth and Sport Development Sunday Dare has assured that a new grass consultant will be engaged in order to restore the pitch of the Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja, while congratulating Super Eagles on their tell-nil demolition of Sao Tome and Principe in their second Group A 2023 African Nations Cup qualifier in Morocco. Dare says Super Eagles' home ground, the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, will be restored to an excellent state before their next AFCON qualifier in September. The minister also appreciated Alhaji Aliko Dangote for his contributions in restoring the stadium to what it is today. In athletics, top athletes are set to storm Benin City Edo State to Joseph for qualification to represent Nigeria at the Athletics World Championship and the Commonwealth Games. Athletics Federation of Nigeria AFN says the championship will take place between June 21 and June 23rd at Samuel Obumidia Stadium, Benin City Edo State. Top athletes from Europe, United States of America, and Nigeria are expected to compete in the 3-day event, which will provide the country the opportunity to pick our representatives to the event. The World Athletics Championship will take place between July 15 to 24 at Oregon, United States of America, while the Commonwealth Games will hold between July 28 and August 8 in Birmingham, United Kingdom. That's Sport News. I am Adeniyi Ajisafe.
And with that, we have come to the end of NewsHour on Trust TV. For more news, connect with us across all our social media platforms. I am Ayinde Shuaga, thanking you for watching. Have a good night.